Today we're looking at Introduction to Inequalities. So first, we're going to look at greater than, which has this symbol here, and if it's just greater than, it's going to be an open circle on the number line. Greater than or equal to means it's going to have the greater than symbol with the line underneath, and that is going to be represented using the closed circle on the number line. Some words that describe greater than or equal to are at least, a minimum, more than, or no less than. Those are some words you'll see. Then when we look at less than, the symbol, if you kind of hold your fingers, it makes an L for less than. And if it doesn't have the or equal to, then it's just going to be an open circle on the number line. Less than or equal to will have the less than symbol with the line underneath, and it's represented using the closed circle on the number line. Some words that represent less than or equal to are at most, maximum, fewer than, or no more than. And one last tidbit of information before we get started with examples is when you're shading on the number line, if the variable is on the left, shading is in the direction of the symbol. So we're going to talk about that. So if and only if the variable is on the left, the shading is pointing in the direction of the symbol. All right, let's look at our first examples. Okay, so given this number line, let's write an inequality. So looking at the number line here, we've got a closed circle over the number -2, and the shading is heading to the right, okay? The shading is heading to the right. These values as you go to the right are doing what? From -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Those values are increasing. Okay, so you're going to pick a variable, any variable. Generally we pick x, but it doesn't have to be x. So I'm going to say x is all numbers, and you'll notice going to the right it's increasing, so you're going to say greater than, and because it's a closed circle, you're going to say greater than or equal to -2. And you'll notice, like I stated up above, when the variable is on the left, so we've got the variable on the left, the shading is in the direction of the symbol. So our symbol is facing to the right and our shading is to the right. You'll notice the shading on the arrow here on the end is exactly identical to our symbol here. So those match when the variable is on the left. All right, let's look at this other example here. On this example, our circle is over the number 1. It's an open circle, so we know it's not or equal to. And in this case, the shading is going to the left. So what's happening to those values as we move to the left? From 1, we go to 0, -1, -2. Those values are decreasing. So I'm going to pick a different variable. I'm going to say y this time. So y, in this instance, is less than, because my values are decreasing, they're less than what? They're less than 1. And in this case, we do not do the line underneath because the circle is open. And you'll notice, again, my variable's on the left, so my symbol and my arrow here should match, the one in the direction of the shading, and they do match. All right. Let's go backwards now. Let's look at these examples. So using a different variable, if I have z less than 0, not less than or equal to, I know my circle is going to be over 0. So I'm going to draw my circle over 0. I know because it doesn't have the line underneath, I don't need to shade in. And since my variable's on the left, I know that I need to, since my arrow or my symbol is pointing to the left, I need to shade to the left. And if you think about it, it logically makes sense when it's saying z is less than 0, all of these values to the left of 0, the direction I'm shading, are less than 0. -1, -2, and -3 are all less than 0. All right, let's look at this next example. We've got m is greater than or equal to 3. So I know I'm going to draw my circle over 3. And in this case, since I have the line underneath, I know I'm going to shade. And since my variable is on the left, I know that I shade in the direction that my symbol is pointing, so that's pointing to the right, which again makes logical sense because m is greater than or equal to 3. If I go into the direction of the right, these numbers as I go to the right are increasing. They're getting bigger than 3. All right, and I notice that my symbol and my arrow match. All right, let's move on. So let's look at some word examples. The circumference of an official Major League Baseball is at least 9 inches. So at least means it has to be at least 9 inches. It could be more. So circumference is what we're talking about. Circumference has to be at least 9 inches. 9 inches. So I'm going to use C for circumference. Has to be at least. That means it's either greater than or equal to 9. That's my inequality. And if I were to graph this on a number line, I'm going to put 9 about here. So this would be 8, 7, 6. This would be 10, 11, 12. Circle over 9, close circle. Because I've got the line underneath that says at least. That means it can be 9 inches or greater. I'm going to shade into the direction of the right. Okay, next example. The maximum amount of people on an escalator is 20. So maximum means there can't be any more than 20. There can be 20, but there can't be more than that. So maximum amount of what? We're talking about people, so I'm going to use the letter P. So people has to be less than or equal to 20. We can't have more than 20 people on the escalator. So when I graph this on my number line, I'll put 20 here. So 21, 22, 19, 18. My circle goes over 20. It's shaded because they are equal to. And since my variable's on the left here, that means I shade in the direction of the symbol, and the symbol's pointing to the left. All right, last example. The memory in Aaron's camera phone allows him to take up to 100 photos. He has already taken 25 photos. So the memory in Aaron's camera phone allows him to take up to 100 photos. That means he cannot take any more than 100. So the amount of photos he takes has to be less than or equal to 100. But here's the thing, and we're talking about photos here, so I'm going to use P. So the photos have to be less than 100, but he has already taken 25 photos. So the amount of photos that he can take plus 25, because he's already taken 25, has to be less than or equal to 100. And we will learn how to graph these tomorrow.